You know what's funny? This is going to be by far the most informal.
This will be relaxed.
Yeah, totally. I'm Josh Cooperman. I host and publish Convo by Design, podcast for the design and architecture space. If you haven't already heard the spiel, it's on every other podcast. We're available everywhere you get your podcasts. And I created the podcast for the design industry, for the trade, for you. This last conversation is one that is near and dear to my heart. I'm very excited to have this conversation. We have Christopher Seuss, who is the showroom manager of VONDOM at the Pacific Design Center. We've got CHAIRity, who is a decorative artist, and we've got Nick Arquette, who is the CEO of Walk with Sally. This conversation, it's an exploration. It's a conversation about cause marketing and doing well and doing good at the same time. If you're a designer, if you're an architect, if you are a manufacturer or a product rep or a showroom manufacturer, you are challenged with a number of things that you have to do. And marketing is always up there on the top of the list, things that you want to do, things that you wish you could do, you wish you had the budget to do this or the ideas to do that. This is an exploration into a program that we've all put together, and it's going to sort of come out as we talk about it, that accomplishes all of those things. And so first, I wanted to sort of pass it off to you guys, just sort of introduce yourselves and your background a little bit. I'll start with Chris.
Hey, my name's Christopher. I am the showroom director for VONDOM. We have the outdoor space, and I've been there for a good 6 months now, and I'm loving every bit of it. A little bit background for education. I have my MBA in business, and I'm technically a interior designer by trade as well. I love doing sales, so yeah.
By the way, that patio out back, probably the best patio.
Thanks, I did it all myself.
Did you really?
Yes, I did.
Where did you get those huge trees? Because that was amazing.
One of the dealers here donated it. So they're all olive trees, believe it or not.
It's my
All right,
favorite place.
let's stay focused. Let's stay focused, shall we? Sherry.
Hi, I'm CHAIRity. I'm a full-service decorative artist. For the last 30 years, I've been creating beautiful environments in all sorts of homes and businesses. I do murals, historic ornament, some historic restoration, and all kinds of painted stuff. I'm self-taught, and like I said, I've been doing this for 30 years. I've participated in over 30 design showcase homes and love what I do.
Hi, guys. I'm Nick Arquette, and I'm the founder and CEO of Walk with Sally. And Walk with Sally is a nonprofit that in Los Angeles mentors children whose parents or guardian has cancer or died of cancer. And so our mission is to make sure that no child goes through the cancer journey alone through our mentoring program. And as a social entrepreneur over the last 12 years, I've been really working toward growing the program so that we're in every city in the country, and we're fortunate enough to be able to expand throughout Los Angeles and hopefully in the next year San Francisco and San Diego. So I'm excited to be up here with you guys today.
Yeah, thank you. Excited to have you. So treat this kind of like a case study, if you will. And we don't have images, and the reason we don't have images is because I host and produce a podcast, and images and silence while we're looking at them and talking about them don't work well for audio. But we have the perfect solution for that, because when we're done, you can walk out to the VONDOM patio and you can actually see what we've created. So let me back up a second and tell you all about it. Christopher and I work together, and we've been working together now for about a year. I met Sherry at the Pasadena Showcase House for the Arts, where she was working on an absolutely stunning treehouse. It's amazing.
Thank
and
you.
if have you ever met someone and you're like, there's gonna be a way, somehow we have to figure out how to work together. And you wait for that opportunity, and this was that opportunity. And I've known Nick for a very long time, and he has a fantastic organization with purpose. And I was looking for a way to tie all three together and use Convo by Design as a marketing partner, as a piece of press, as a piece of content that we could push the idea and do good and do well at the same time. So here's what we have. Christopher was generous enough to donate some chairs and a, is it a vase, a vase?
Yes.
Yeah, and it's a blank canvas. And Sherry has gone to work applying her trade and her art in, and I'll let her explain the ideas behind it. She did a lot of the work beforehand. She did some of the work here this weekend. And after this weekend, it's going to the VONDOM showroom where it's going to be on display until about June. In July, it's going to the Walk with Sally White Light, White Night event where it's going to be auctioned off for charity. And this is just one of those opportunities. I mean, listen, straight up, no cash is trading hands here. We're all bringing what we have to the table to help each other to do well and do good at the same time. So that's the idea. After this, I encourage you to go out to the VONDOM patio and look at what's been created. So, Nick, talk about the CHAIRity a little bit and what the event is and why this type of program is conducive to what you already do.
I think that White Light, White Night is our annual event. And most charities do have their big gala events. White Light happens to be 1,200 people in the South Bay that come together for one evening. White is the color, a healing color that my mom taught me. My mom was Sally, and I created Walk with Sally in her honor. And the healing color of white is kind of intriguing for me as a young kid going through and doing meditation. And so we decided to create this gala and call it White Light. And everybody dresses in white, so it's a white party. And to be able to collaborate in this way fits in beautifully with our creativity. We're trying to stand out in a very crowded world of nonprofit. And companies who have their own foundations, sports teams like the Lakers, those are all our competition. Skechers has a big event every year in Manhattan Beach. How do we stand out? How do we bring our audience to our events and create something that's unusual, different, standing out? And when Josh brought this opportunity in VONDOM, we looked at this as another exciting opportunity to really tell a story and to bring a new audience. Being here even today for this organization is a huge benefit. So this build up to our event and our ability to share our story of our partnership is going to be a lot of fun over the next 6 months. But what a great opportunity for us to sort of share in that magic and be creative.
And one of the things that I think is most interesting about this with Sherry is we met at the Pasadena Showcase House for the Arts, which I covered this year, and it was so fun. You hear surprise and delight, and I was there for an entire day. I was absolutely exhausted. This was the last setup for the whole shoot, and it was the end of the day, and I turned a corner around these shrubs, and there is this treehouse, and I'm going to let Sherry explain it to you, but it was whimsical, and it was beautiful, and it was something that I turned a corner and saw something that I didn't expect to see, and it was fantastic. And that's sort of Sherry's aesthetic. Where did that come from, and how long have you been doing that?
I've been doing showcased houses since my career started in the late 80s. And I've done, this was my third consecutive year at Pasadena Showcase House. And in 2016 when I did it, I did an elevator that was an aviary with drapery and flowers and cockatoos. And it was a showstopper, this tiny phone booth-sized elevator. So I kind of like to take spaces that nobody else really wants. And as a decorative artist and not really a designer, that's kind of where my niche is, because it's really a designer showcase. So if I take a little kind of orphan room that nobody else wants, I have a good chance of getting it. So this treehouse was built in, I think, 2002, and never really finished. It was very crudely built. It was stoutly built and strong, but never finished. It never received a paint job or anything, and it looked kind of like an outhouse. So my idea for it, since it was all wood, was to take the inspiration of the gypsy traveling caravan wagons and make it a colorful explosion of color and ornament and history and just vibrant life. And I just ran with it. I did it on wood panels that I could do in my studio and not have to worry about having access to the house or worry about weather. And I received a little bit of controversy by using the term gypsy, so I wasn't allowed to use that. And so in the middle of the night painting these things, lightning struck, and as I was creating these big wildflowers, I turned it into a tribute to Tom Petty. And so it became this giant wildflower tribute. And when I explained that to the crowds, because the show draws, sometimes 30,000 people. And what was so nice about it was not only did you, like Josh said, you turn the corner and you see this explosion of color, when people would ask what the inspiration was, and I said, Tom Petty, the stories that came out were fantastic. There were people that were roadies. There were people where Tom Petty picked up their kids from school. I mean, there was all this great reaction from it. So to have a hook like that was totally unexpected, made it that more special. So I took what started out as a problem with naming the space and inspiring the space by something that had a little bit of a negative reaction and turned it into this unexpected surprise, and it was fantastic.
Christopher, as from your end, I think it's interesting too, because you can shed light on how difficult it is to stand out and how difficult it is to find things that people want to attend, and how challenging it can be to do something unique and different, so that when an opportunity like this comes along, it really does set you apart. How do you evaluate an opportunity like this? Because there is still an investment required, and that investment is the product itself.
Well, it's the product, it's the time, it's the willingness to give your everything to make something so special at the end of the road. I've had the great opportunity to experience Walk with Sally at the last White Party, and you connected me with Sherry, which I really appreciate. And at the end of this road, we're going to be all really happy with the outcome and the donation of these pieces.
Yeah, I think so too. Nick, back to you. By the way, the inspiration for the idea started through the BMW art car project. For those not familiar, BMW has a long storied history of having world-renowned artists paint BMWs, and it's a program that's been in place for decades, and it's remarkable. I mean, there's a Picasso, there's a Liechtenstein. There are amazing pieces that have been created for BMW for the benefit of promoting the work and artists and doing something truly unique. And that's what you have here, is something that is truly unique, which is going to catch a lot of attention. But also, Nick, you mentioned competition. As a charitable organization, you're not staffed up the same way that the organizations that you mentioned are. So I would imagine that you have to spend a lot of time either crafting unique ideas or really digging to try to put something together. How do you generally approach making, because you do the event every year, and every year you have to step up your game every single year, and it has to get harder. How do you do that?
I think it's a collaboration with companies like yours that help us get new ideas, and looking for ways to work with different companies to see what's important to you, and how do we collaborate art and corporate in one box, which is ultimately to help children. Mm-hmm. And so every year is different, Josh. It's like a new palette that we have to create. This particular event is really unique because it's in a location that has to be created. So it's, in this case, the one that you attended, White Light, was on a 7-story of a parking structure. Mm-hmm. And so we turned it into an urban park, basically, and had live music and, just different opportunities that come up. So every time that we work with a vendor, we try and come up with a different idea. Kendra Scott recently came to us and said, we want to do something with you. She makes jewelry, very philanthropic. And one of the things that she wanted to do is expose her product, but she also wanted to do it in a way that was thoughtful and that it felt organic. And so we sat down and really looked at, okay, gift boxes. What if somebody donated $50 and they got to choose a special box? all of a sudden we've created this environment and this collaboration that doesn't feel like just another booth where someone's trying to sell you something, but an experience, and both sides really win. And so I think when this opportunity came for us, we're always gonna have to listen for these opportunities and then collaborate to have them come to fruition. And I think that's the example of when you called me and said, I've got this wacky idea. I want to do this artist that I met, and I want to do this furniture, and I really want you to be a part of it. Instead of being like, oh my God, we're overwhelmed, what are you talking about? We're like, let's have a conversation. Let's see how this could really play out.
I think that's so interesting too, because the first thing you mentioned was sort of the authenticity and doing something that is authentic to the brand. And then the next part, which is, God, it's the hardest part to say yes. It's to try to find the time that we're all scrambling for any extra time that we have, is to say, yeah, you know what? I've got time to talk about this. Do you get pitched a lot?
I mean, we get pitched on a lot of things that are everything from California Pizza Kitchen wanting us to bring all of our guests and all of our supporters for 10% off at their new place at the mall. And so for us, God, we want to be thankful and we want to be a yes, but that's actually a lot of time and effort. What I love is these authentic moments where we're actually all collaborating to give something back, and it doesn't feel like we're just taking and we're asking for money. The people that are supporting Walk with Sally, there's several things that you want out of this experience. You want to have fun, because cancer sucks. And so we're trying to create that we can have hope for the future. You want to raise money, and you want to raise new friends. You want people in this audience to walk away and say, I'm going to look up Walk with Sally. And so, yes, do I get asked a lot? We get asked for everything under the sun, and sometimes it doesn't feel right. It feels forced. It feels a little icky, if that's a good word to use.
Yeah.
Does that feel, And
Yeah.
sometimes saying yes can have bad implications on your audience.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. And Christopher, I know you for one, you get hit up a lot. You get a lot of inquiries. And how do you approach that?
We do, but I have to look at their company and figure out if it's good for VONDOM and make that partnership happen. If it's not going to be benefit the company or benefit something in the long term, in this case, kids with cancer, then I don't want to do it. I want something to be good from it, get something from good from it, or something to come from it, or it's not gonna fill my soul at the long term.
It's so funny too, Nick, that you say that, because I remember that call. And by the way, I had the same call with all three of you, which started out the exact same way. Okay, I've got this really weird, wacky idea. And all three of you listened to it, which I appreciate and I think was cool. For me too, this is one of those things. It's a good use of time. It's beneficial for all four of us. And it's not often that we can say that. It's not often that we have opportunities in life where it's like, hey, listen, this is as beneficial for you as it is for me, as it is for you. It's like, this is great. This helps all of us. And sometimes that does start with a wacky call.
I will tell you the difference in this particular collaboration. Oftentimes I would say the company, it doesn't execute it, or the charity doesn't execute, or the artist doesn't execute. And in this situation, I felt like there was such a professionalism on each person's part to actually come through, from being here today to creating the work to ultimately coming in July and having us do our part to promote this piece and sort of the work being done. So you don't see that a lot of times too. So I think for those of you looking to partner with charities, I was kind of listening for you because I felt honored that you said yes. But when you look at a charity to partner with, what are some of those important things that you try and see when you guys are working with?
Well, for me, For me, my work is so versatile because the kind of art I do isn't limited to a painting or a piece of pottery. I've been asked to participate in a lot of things like this, and I've painted everything from giant canvas market umbrellas to painted dog houses for animal charities to paneled screens to interiors. I mean, so my work can really work with almost any kind of surface or any kind of product that you're trying to, show for your charity. And I think most people respond to charity in a positive way as a whole anyway. So for me, I can't recall saying no to something like this. I mean, when Josh contacted me, I didn't even ask for the details. I said yes right away. And I was familiar with West Edge because I'd been to it before. And it's my audience. I mean, as an interior decorative artist, it puts me where the action is, just like Pasadena Showcase does. I mean, this audience is specifically looking for pretty things for your home. So as much as it benefits the charity, it puts me where the action is with my particular audience. So it's a win-win for everyone.
Well, I came to Josh months ago, I wanted to give back to the community somehow, and I work for a really gracious company, and they were able to give me some pieces of furniture to donate. In 2002, I was diagnosed with brain cancer, and I went to your show, and I saw so many people come to your benefit and donate, and I want to be somehow to give back to that. So I have a lot of experience with Make-A-Wish and different organizations, and I came to yours, and it just made me extremely happy to see all those wonderful people coming together for one benefit. And I came to Josh, and he said, I know this wonderful lady who paints beautiful artwork. Why don't we get her? So I had to contact the owner of our company and see if we could get some pieces together, and he is very happy to do that. And it just all kind of fell in place,
Yeah, it really did, and it all starts with, in a couple of cases with, hey, I got a wacky idea for you, but first and foremost, I got to tell you, in a business climate like ours, where people don't respond to emails and they don't answer their phones, and it's very hard to get in front of people to have meaningful conversations, to have a program like this where everybody's benefiting from it. You're also benefiting people that you don't know, you've never met, you're not going to meet them, but you know that what you're doing is going to help them. There's a certain something that fills you back up and encourages you to go keep doing the business that you do on an everyday basis. And I kind of feel like we're all sort of looking for opportunities to do that. We certainly have them personally, but when you have them and you have that ability to do them from a business standpoint, that's really special. And I think the one thing that, it's not tooting of horns, but the one thing that I did that I think worked best is to make sure to tell each one of you, here's what you're going to get out of it, here's what I need from you. Can you do that? So in advance, if you can commit to A, and through the campaign, A is what you commit to, it's a win. That's what you agreed to. Here's what you're going to get. Here's what you're giving. By the same token, if someone says, here's what I need, and it's A, and then you get halfway through, and it's like, oh yeah, kind of, I need B and C as well, and then you get a little further, and it's like, yeah, by the way, I could use D and E if you have it. It's like, this is too much. And I know that each one of you have had experiences like that before when someone keeps coming back and asking. And Sherry, I'm just curious too, because from a pure creative standpoint, in other words, everything you do is purely creative. Nobody else can do exactly what you do the way that you do it, and it comes from inside. And so your time is the most valuable thing you have, and you do get asked a lot. How do you evaluate each opportunity on a case-by-case basis?
I just feel that nothing that somebody asks me to do will hurt or have a negative impact on me as a person or my career. Even if it isn't a charity or an organization where I might not get immediate benefit from it, giving in that way, it's not going to harm my business. And you just never know, how sometimes little things lead to big things, or who this person knew somebody that, happened to be there, and you just never know. And so for me, my time is, time is such a commodity, but I'm used to working around the clock, working every day, doing whatever it takes to get my work done. What harms me is my obsession with detail, and so things a lot of times take longer than I expect to. But, at the end of the day, I really can't say that any of it has ever had any kind of negative impact on my profession or me as a person. It's just, when I, even if I stay up late and I'm like, oh my God, I'm so tired of this project, or, when I deliver it and see the response and see the reaction and get the applause, that's what it's all about as an artist, That's what I'm there for.
I think the negative thing that we all experience, even you guys in the room, is time. We don't have 50 hours during the day.
Yeah.
Well, it's also measurable results, right? So when we start thinking about how we're going to partner with this charity in your businesses, sometimes what I find is that companies don't really have a plan. They don't have somebody executing that plan. They don't have a charity, a cause marketing strategy. You'd be shocked at some of the companies that don't know how to even start partnering. So in design, for us, my wife's an interior designer. For me, I've been to so many cocktail parties throughout Los Angeles, trying to figure out how to be a part of some of these week-long events and different opportunities. And this is the first one that's come in. And what I found with a lot of the design companies is they haven't really, other than donating an item for a silent auction, they don't know how to collaborate. And they don't know what the measurable result might be. And so whether it's an activity with the kids and participating and actually bringing the kids to their showroom and talking about interior design, it doesn't always have to be about writing a check. But there has to be measurable results for all sides. And it sounds like it checked the box for all of us. Mm-hmm. In terms of what's the outcome, down the road, we want to see us raise a certain amount of money, but there's going to be other residual benefits from this. Who knows who we're going to, or continue to collaborate on other things.
Yeah, exactly, because, people at your benefits will see a new experience. People are going to see your artwork, and people are going to see my furniture. So we're all working together to make this happen. So it's great.
Yeah, and then also whatever Josh has going in the future, he knows that he can count on all of us, and that everything went well, and you just never know what opportunity's going to come up. And
well, and I think I can already tell, just some of the things for that night in the event and what we could do to even expand on just the furniture, but even having maybe your hands touching that urban park. And I also just get excited because I think that you talked about connection and emails. We all want to feel better. We want to do our jobs. We want to make money. But why not do it in a way that excites us and invigorates us and does something new and fresh? Because I think a lot of companies are doing the same thing and they're getting the same results. You've got to start getting a lot more creative out there in your cause marketing. And we see different versions of that. And different things that are being spun out where partnerships are happening with corporate America. But I think even the small businesses, we're finding ways to even help touch them. And I think charities have to be more ready to be a marketer for these companies to a certain degree.
Well, our furniture is already pieces of art, so why not add an extra touch to it and make it something special?
And a story.
And a story of where it came from,
And the design, the idea where you can combine design and furniture all in one for children who are impacted by cancer.
Well, and even just the pieces that I did out there, they're giant flowers, they're giant birds, they appeal to kids and adults. You look at it and it makes you happy. There's the pieces themselves were already bright purple and bright green, so adding these bold, colors, they make you smile. So who wouldn't want to just, sit in that purple chair and put your feet up on the green ottoman and
tell the story when they get it at their home. What is this piece and how did you get it? And
well, I might outbid everybody, so we'll see.
It is beautiful. It really is beautiful.
It was fun.
There's just a couple of things that I would be remiss if I didn't bring up. And those are lessons learned along the way, because if you want to do a cause marketing program, the one thing that you have to realize is you're going to be limited in both time and resources for something like this. And I'll just give you a couple of examples from this weekend. You talk about sitting in the chair and putting your feet up. That's awesome, except when the paint's wet. So, no, seriously, signage is good. I could have done more signage. We also, sometimes you have to realize that people aren't always as self-aware as we are or as you are. And when you have a piece of furniture there that is a decorative, one-of-a-kind piece of art with signage on both sides explaining what it is, maybe it's not the best thing to sit down and set your computer up and work there for a couple hours. Maybe you could go sit at one of the other tables where you could do that so that people can actually see what you have. And I take full responsibility for that because you know what? I should have made better signage. I always learn when I do these things. But I will tell you, at the end of this, just like now, I'm working with 3 additional remarkable partners, and we'll be doing more projects outside of this. And so, thank you. Thank you guys very much for working with me on this, and I'm thrilled to be working with you. Normally with these things, we go to questions. And instead of going to questions, what I really like to do is to encourage you to come introduce yourselves. Come say hello when we're done with this. If you have questions, feel free to ask. Also, please help yourself to a beverage. And as you do, grab a beer, grab a Peroni, and head outside to the VONDOM lounge and go see what we're talking about. So you could see it for yourself, take pictures of it, and maybe start thinking about where in your home this would be best so that you can go bid on it at White Light, White Night in July.
And if you want to collaborate, yes, come see me, but also check us out at walkwithsally.org here in Los Angeles.
Yep. And then also, the work is going over to the VONDOM showroom. So if you're at the Pacific Design Center, you will be able to see this again for yourself with all the information on that. Thank you to West Edge for having us out here. It has been an absolute joy. I'm Josh Cooperman with Convo by Design. Again, the podcast, you can find us. Sorry, Brian, I popped on that one. The podcast, you can find us anywhere you get your podcasts. You can also find us on YouTube. Just search Convo by Design. We will be publishing these conversations. So if you like what you heard and you want to go back and hear it again, you'll be able to find it. We're going to publish them out over the next couple of months. Reach out to us on social if you have a question as to when a specific conversation is going to be published, and I can let you know. Thank you to my guests, and thank you to you for taking the time to come sit with us. I appreciate it. Enjoy the rest of the show.